I am going to be sewing an embroidered hair bonnet. I've already embroidered it, and this is an order through my Etsy store. If you have questions or interested in picking one up, feel free to do so. I will actually, let me see if I know how to do this. I will leave the page. No, I don't know how to do this. It says create a highlight. I'm not sure if that's it, so I'm just not going to do much because I always seem to manage to mess this up. But anyways, I am going to be, and I just realized I don't have the right thread in place. I have to change my thread. So this is what I'm going to be using on this. Let's see, it's sort of, is this the right one? Yes, it sure is, because it's slightly darker. So for those curious, I think I have posted like little clips the last few days. I teach sewing online throughout school. I have a page if you're interested in learning how to sew, but I think most of my followers follow me because of small projects that easy fabric scrap projects, which are great. I do have some beginner followers and beginner sewers rather who follow me. You know the funny thing, I never think about how much I take for granted when it comes to sewing. Like I always feel like everybody knows how to do something, right? They don't always know how to do it. Like I sew and I'm just like, oh yeah, just thread your sewing machine. Well, not a lot of people know how to thread your sewing machine. Or I say, you know, thread your bobbin, and not a lot of people know how to thread their bobbins either. So it's trying to make sure. It looks like I don't have a matching bobbin thread for this, so I will have to re-thread my sewing machine, which is fun. So I'm gonna take you with me as I do that. When I'm doing hair bonnets, I try to make sure that I am using the same top and bottom thread, unless I have a reversible bonnet where the other side is a different color. So if it's a different color, I do use the matching color for the opposite side. But typically when I'm sewing hair bonnets, it's top and bottom threads have to match. So I'm going to thread my bobbin. Let me show you how I do the sit up real quick. So, and then I'm going to flip my camera. So this is where I am right now. Okay. So I was telling someone while I was teaching yesterday, Brother Machines perfect for this. They tell you exactly how to do things and where each one goes. So the dotted lines are for the bobbin and the straight line is for your main thread. So dotted line is for the bottom. So to thread this, basically you can, put this through. If you look here, there's a little bit of a little rectangular, let me see if I can get that. There's a little rectangular opening at the bottom there. And what I try to do is I thread my thread through, hold it, and then I just use my finger. So put the thread through and then use my finger to hold it. And then when I do that, I take the other hand and, whoopsie, it came off. Oh, actually, my machine is in the way, so I have a sticky note here from my last class. So I want to remember to do something, but I'm just going to hold this and then use my other finger to start. It's like a starter for my bobbin. And then once that's done, now I'm holding the thread with my left hand. I'm going to put it down on here. Now, if you ever go to thread your bobbin and you notice that it's not filling up properly, chances are this little stopper, the metal stopper, needs to be adjusted. So once my bobbin is on there, I'm just going to push it towards the stopper because that is what helps determine how thick or how full my bobbin is going to be. And then now I'm just going to let the machine do its thing. I am one of those people that kind of guides it a little bit because I want it to be equal. It usually is, but sometimes I notice that the top might be too full or the bottom might be too full when it does that, so I try to adjust for that as well. And here's the thing, when I do bobbins for my sewing machine, I try to do all my bobbins at once, especially when I'm doing the embroidery work, and I'll show you what the embroidery looks like at the end of this. But so just looking at this, you can see that it's reached the end there. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you ever have a situation where your bobbin's not filling up or it's too full, this here is what you need to adjust. Just take a screwdriver and then adjust it, okay? All right, so that's done. And I'm going to just take it out and cut it. It does have its own cutter. I just prefer to use my snips. And the reason I prefer to use my snips is because I do need a tail anyways when I load my bobbin. So let me move this out of the way, put my machine back in place, and show you how I replace my bobbin thread. So I had a black one in there, which is most of the embroidery work I do requires black thread or sewing. Most of the sewing work I do not embroidery, because I use this machine primarily for sewing. So drop in bobbin, just put it in. So like I said, I think I take for granted the fact that not everyone is an experienced sewist and may not know how to so I noticed this, and I'm going to kind of take this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take it out because I don't want it to accidentally fall. And so I do have a little bit of thread at the top. I usually just snip it just so that it doesn't get cut in anything. And I'm just going to go back and rethread this. It has a blade at the end here. And that's it. So now I'm going to go back up and rethread my machine. Let's see. I'm trying to adjust that. Rethread my machine. So again, Brother does most of it for you. You follow the numbers. 1, 2, 3. There's a hook in there. 4, 5 is down. 6, 7. I hold this. 8, and then the automatic threader, which is on the side right here. I'm just going to pull it down, and it does that for me. I think it's blurring a little bit. There we go. It does the threading for me, and I'm just going to do that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start sewing my hair bonnet, because now I have the right threads in place. So like I was saying earlier, if you have questions about sewing, please feel free to ask. I am always happy to share sewing knowledge. I'm also an Etsy seller, so if you have questions about selling on Etsy, I've sold over 3,000 items on there. Primarily satin hair bonnets and shower caps. I'm actually going to use my microphone since I'm sewing. That way you can still hear me. Hopefully it works and I don't run into any problems, because knowing me, that's usually what happens. So I'm gonna turn this over to me and let's see how that works. Then I will have to change the stand I'm working with because I need the bottom now. So I'm gonna put this in here and turn this on. Hopefully this is a better audio. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. I'm just being silly. Silly nice. All right, I'm just gonna clip this on here. Let me first put this up. Okay. And then clip. So hopefully the audio is better. I wanted to do that since I'm sewing, so it helps with the sound, because the machine can be loud. Once when I was teaching a class, I think someone says, what scares them is the initial jump of the machine. So when you start sewing, when you first start sewing, the initial sound can be jarring. I get it, but what I will say is, don't let that scare you. Once you actually sew a lot, it's a relaxing sound. At least for me, it is. The other thing, I've been sewing satin for a while. It's actually more satin blend. I know everybody calls it satin, but it's a satin blend. But I've been sewing satin for a while. So there is a method to the madness. It's not like sewing cotton where everything stays together. Things shift. So when you're sewing, you have to be cognizant of that as well. I do offer a hair bonnet class, like a sew in a hair bonnet. And I'm considering actually adding a class where I teach people how to do an embroidered hair bonnet. So um, if that's something you're interested in, let me know. If you're watching this today or if you're watching this later on, let me know. Just put it in the comments and I will add that. Or I can do a one-on-one class with you. I'm drinking my morning. It's breakfast. It's around 11:41 here on the East Coast. And I'm just having my breakfast now. I have a day off. And when I have a day off, I usually schedule sewing classes. But I didn't have anyone sign up this week. Well, I had someone yesterday. I didn't have anyone sign up for class today. So I am using the time to catch up on my Etsy orders. And the reason you hear me sewing and stopping is because the top here of my bonnet is slightly larger than the bottom. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm catching all of the areas and I don't end up with a situation where I think I sewed over something and I did not. So I try to do these lives either on Fridays or Saturdays because since my schedule allows for it. But if there is a specific sewing topic you want to see, I know I had a podcast and I have some topics there. I haven't really done much with that. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, okay. I keep forgetting. So Androids, I have an Android phone. And if you're an Android user, let's just say I am never going to abandon my Android phone. Love it. Love, love, love it. You can do a split screen connection, as in you can split what you're looking at or watching into two. Hold on. I did 1, 2. I try to count my pins so that I make sure that I have the exact number of pins I started with. And I'll show you the embroidery design. Give me a sec when I'll turn it over. But I try to count. I often forget, as an Android user, that you can watch 2 things at the same time, and not everybody has that option. And because I am a little spoiled, I kind of sometimes flip, not realizing that once you're live, you can't do that. It will end or cancel or stop the live or freeze your live, and then if you're viewing something else. So one of those things I got to remember over time, but how that goes. All right, so I've done my first stitch. Again, like I said, I will offer the option for people who want to take a class with me if you have questions about how to sew a satin hair bonnet. Satin hair bonnets are not like cotton. It requires a little more understanding. And even if you have a cotton hair bonnet, I think the cotton will be on the outer side, and then the inside, which is where the housing is for your hair, usually will be satin or silk, because you want it to have the ability to not cause friction on your hair. So I noticed I wasn't wearing my bonnet and I started having some shedding on my side. My hair's coming back. But it was, holidays and stuff. People change routines, which I did. I actually had sewn a satin pillowcase and then realized that at night when I use it, sometimes I forget to use that particular pillow because I may be having back pains and then switch and a whole nother thing. But anyway, so let's go back to the table and let me show you what I'm about to do next. I'm going to move this and I'm going to take I'm trying to figure out which one is the best option here. I've never tried this. Let's see if I can flip my camera and use it in the opposite direction. No, I cannot. Hold on. There. I have so many stands in my office. I often have a hard time trying to figure out which one is appropriate, which one do I want to use right now, which one do I want to wait on. So I'm going to move that out of the way. And then this is what it looks like. So I've already cut this. I have these projects that I'm going to be showing you maybe tomorrow, Valentine's Day projects. And then because I'm cutting, I'm gonna move this here and take my rotary cutter and get rid of the excess. The reason I get rid of the excess is because it'll make more sense later, but as I go through this, I don't want the excess to be in the way when I'm sewing the eventual casing for my bonnet. And I try to get as close to the stitch as possible without actually going over the stitches. Obviously, if you go over the stitches, you you know that it's going to have a torn end. So bonnets are not hard to sew, but it does take time if you're doing a custom one. So this here will go in my poof, which I have a stash. A poof is basically just like a sitting or cushion or something you have in your in a room. But I've stuffed it, instead of buying stuffing for my poof, I decided to actually just stuff it with fabric scraps that I can't do anything else with. And it actually makes more sense. Why buy something when you know you don't need to waste, right? So my poof has grown over the years and it's now lovely. So this, like I said, it's a custom order and it's a hair bonnet. I do sell the design as well. If you want it, I can also do one for you. But this is it. And now I'm going to create the casing for this hair bonnet. Okay, so I'm move this back again so that you can follow me back to my sewing machine as I create the casing. So you see me again. That's me. Hey, hey. Welcome for those who are just joining me. I really need like a one size fits all type situation for a stand, because I feel like when you're live, especially if you're sewing, it's a little kludgy or clunky doing multiple things and moving the camera. And I did buy one of those cameras that follows you. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera so you can see what I'm doing. All right, and the reason I want to do that is because I want to explain to you why I took out the excess. Okay. Okay, so this is basically what it looks like, right? I have the opening here, which I will close out. The opening is right there. I'll close that out. But if I had excess on the inside after I turn this inside out, what's going to happen is that I would end up with catching it, which means that if I catch it, there's a chance that when I put the elastic through, it won't go through because it will be caught. So for me, it's very important that that excess is taken out as I sew. So go ahead and use that and excuse me, bless me, create the casing for this. I love embroidered hair bonnets, especially if you look at my website, it's printedbonnet.com. It has a lot of options. I love doing them because these are not things you'll find on the market. It's different. And the other great thing about this is, like, my bonnets are made to last. Like, I've had the same hair bonnet for years and years. I also have a video that shows you how to change out the elastic if the elastic goes bad. The elastic is not, elastic is not made to last for years and years. The bonnet itself will last and keep. The embroidery will hold for years to come. So when you it says orientation is locked. I'm not even sure what that means, but when you have a bonnet like this, you know, after a couple, well, no, mine usually would last about 12 to 18 months, the elastic inside. So once it starts to show wear and tear, I have a video on my page where it actually tells you how to, or shows you how to re-thread your, you know, like buy your own elastic and do it. So if you buy a whole pack of elastic, You never have to buy a new bonnet. Honestly, I feel like you don't have to unless you want to buy a new design or something because it will last. You can change out the elastic yourself. I also will offer, I will replace the elastic. I mean, you pay for shipping back and forth because you'll be shipping it to me and then shipping it back. You pay for shipping back to you. But if you don't want to do that, you have the option to have your own elastic, like put it in. So these are made to last, and you can. The other good thing is it's wide enough and big enough, like it's almost like a grow with me type situation. So if for some reason after you have your bonnet, let's say you buy one for a child, and then the kid gets older, most of my baby, toddler, and the preteen hair bonnets have a wider housing, as in the area that covers your hair. So you can just change out the elastic and keep using it. So for in a situation like this um, where you have a custom one with the name on it, I mean, it's perfect for that because you just have to use the same one, and you don't have to change it out unless you want a new design, like I said earlier. So device back. Okay. I'm not sure how it does the orientation for this. It says orientation is locked, rotate device back. I think there's something up with, see? I don't know if y'all are getting the same message I'm getting. When I tilt it. Okay. When I tilt it like so. Okay, so maybe that helps a little bit. The only thing is that now it's a little in my way, so I have to be careful so I don't knock it over. That's why I had a standalone, and then when you have a standalone, you got to keep moving it and adjusting it. So for those who do sewing videos, I am open to your ideas of how to film without locking your stuff. Okay, so this is sewn, and you do have to close this out. Remember, we didn't sew over the opening. I just used that as a starting and ending point. So make sure you're not sewing over your opening. And let me see. Okay, we'll take that back to me. And I'm going to thread my elastic now. What I would like to see is if, let's see if I can do, so now I'm going to try to do a poll. So I want to see what kind of videos you want to see more of, what more sewing or embroidery videos. And then the first one will be sewing, the other will be embroidery. Okay, so I'd love to hear from you. Answer. Oh, that sits on my head. There's no way to move it. So let me shrink it a little bit and then move it over. Okay, start poll. So let me know. I would love to see or hear what your thoughts are, or what option you prefer. So here's the big reveal. Okay, I did tell you I will show you shortly. This is the name. It's a design I have. I can do your initial and send it to you if you want to embroider on your own, or I can do any initial. It's a file that you would have to, you'd have to have an embroidery machine to stitch this out. And in addition to that, you have to, if you don't have Embrilliance, which is what I primarily use, you have to have embroidery, an embroidery application either on your tablet, iPad, or computer to be able to increase it, adjust for stitches and things like that. So, but it's an option if you want to get it. So let me know. And right now I'm just threading. I'm using what's called a budkin. If you're new to sewing, it saves you a lot of stress. I do wish budkins came longer, the metal ones. I've tried looking for them. The plastic ones, which I have one over there somewhere. The plastic ones are longer, but they are also thicker, and I prefer the glide of the metal ones, which is why I stick with the metal budkin. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and hold my elastic together. So when I'm doing the elastic, I make sure, I'll show you what that looks like. I make sure it does not go anywhere. So you will never have an issue where you say, oh, my elastic broke. It will not break because it is like extra double, quadruple held together. And the bonnet is now starting to take shape. So now I just need to close out the opening, which is right there. So go ahead and close it out. So I have a bin for loose threads or threads that I snip or cut over time. And then the trash is where I put loose fabric, whatever. So I sometimes make a mistake, but I try to keep my loose threads because I saw a project on Instagram that I want to try. So I'm holding on to my snips and cuttings because I will eventually try that project, and I will share a video here on my channel once I try it because I love to try and see if things make sense. Like, does it really do that? There's so many videos that I have, and I would love to do like a side by side, but I try not to because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm mocking them if it doesn't turn out the way that they say it's going to turn out. So I'm also a small business owner, so I need to make sure that I'm not dogging anyone. Okay, so the other thing is the location of my opening is usually at the bottom when you're wearing the bonnet so that you don't see anything. But this is the hair bonnet. This is what it looks like. I love the name Balana. I think that's how you pronounce it. Either ways, it's a beautiful name. And this is the inside. So there is nothing there to catch your hair, and the outside will fully hold a hair. If you want me to show you the embroidery process of how I get this done, I think I have a video on my site, on my page already, but if you want to see me do it live, I'll be happy to. So just fill out that, poll up there, and thank you for joining me. So yeah, you can find this design on my page. So if you want to order it, you can find the design on my page at I Sew with Joy. Well, if you want to learn to sew, isewithjoy.com. If you want to order one of these, it's on printedbonnet.com. And if you have some topics or ideas that you would like to see going forward, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to share them with you. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and hope you have a wonderful weekend if you're watching this on Friday, because it's Friday over here on the East Coast, and we're praying for no more snow because we need some warm weather to warm up and get rid of the snow we have out here. We have a lot of ice. Okay. Bye, guys.